Hi, welcome to Mixed Media Creations with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. Follow me on Instagram and get pictures of what's going on in my studio, www.instagram.com/Creative Katie. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Tell your friends about it too. So today we have a Journaling by Fives revamped and revisited video. This is part 5, the last 4 pages of free play and finishing. Just a reminder, links to the rest of the JB5 series, if you've missed some, can be found in the description box below. It's never too late to join. So I have a quote here that says the best way to predict the future is to create it, because it just looked like this stencil that was placed pretty much in the middle of the page was like a crystal ball. And then when I put the hands that way, and that just kind of sent me in that direction. So I looked for a quote with magic or predicting the future, and that's what I found. Pink and black and white look so amazing together. So I really wanted to play up that. So right off the bat, I'm going to edge this with my woodless charcoal pencil. You've seen me use this numerous times. It is, in my mind, an absolute must. It is really easy to use, pretty much fail-safe. So now I am going to edge the hands, and I'm not sure how dark I want to go. So I've got some, burgundy paint there, and I've got a lighter or darker pink, and then I've got some black there. And I think at some point in time I use a little bit of everything, and I build it up as I go. So you're going to have to watch. And there you can see I've just decided to go with the black because it just goes so well with the pink. And it just really, really, really makes this page work together. And if you look, there's black stamping in the background as well. I really like, I have a couple places, couple of the pages where they have hands. I think I'm going to go through magazines and cut out hands and really try to incorporate those into journal pages. I find it really interesting what you can do with that. So I've decided that I am going to treat this stenciled area that's with texture paste in the middle as part of the focal point. So I'm bringing that out by shading, and you can see the difference. If you go back a little bit, you can see what it before I shaded around it and after. It just suddenly, it looks like it moved this crystal ball forward. And that's the power of shading. You might be getting tired of me talking about shading and seeing it, but it is key to a great page. And I kind of like them crooked. I think I do put them on straight, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the font that I used on this one is called Cali Brush, and I have it in 2 different sizes. Now, I got this new stamp, and I was just testing it out, and I had a large dragonfly and a small dragonfly on my desk. And I thought, what would happen if I put the dragonfly right here? And the dragonfly symbolizes transformation and change and wisdom. So I thought it kind of went with the quote as well. So I'm splattering with some white paint, and I've just masked off with just torn pieces of paper, really high tech here. And then I'm going in with the black. And I think that adds to the mystical kind of feeling that I want to get with this page. Now, if you have a page that you absolutely don't like and you don't want to do anything with it, you can always just cut it up and use it, or use parts of it in some other art piece. I've done that too. And it's amazing how once they're cut up into strips or something, they bring on a new life. Now, since I want this to be more of a focal point, I grab my fine liner and I'm just doing dashes around this flower shape. And again, I'm bringing out the black on this page. But I just thought that, I could have used a micron pen, I guess, Another tool of finishing that I love. I think once I'm done, I might do a blog post of, the tools to finish a page based on what I used in the 20 pages of the JB5s. I think I might make up a master list. And the fine liner bottles are definitely going to be on that list. And I hope you can see, just like the shading made this stand out and become more of a focal point, this work with the fine liner bottle also did that further. It separated it from the background. Just double edging it. Now I have the Crafters Workshop Shimmery Goodness, and it is kind of this iridescent, pearlized, wonderful yumminess. And I just thought I'm going to paint that on top of the flower to, again, make that kind of shine. So it looks like the crystal ball is flickering and shining. I think I did put a couple coats, 2 or 3, on this. Now it dries mostly clear, but you can still see some of that color behind it, but it does kind of pearlize and gives it that shimmer that catches in the light. It's a lovely product. And I put some of that iridescent medium, that same shimmery goodness medium actually, onto the dragonfly. Just to make it match the rest of the page. And then since I have some left over, I just dilute it a little bit and splatter with it. Now these hands, because that crystal ball was so high, the hands had to be kind of floating. So by putting the part of the phrase here, it kind of grounds it, just that little bit. And that was my reasoning for doing that. The black and the white of the sentiment really goes well with the black and white and the pink in this page. Doing a little bit of shading around the quote. Just using, the acrylic float technique. You could use the charcoal pencil, although I find that tends to get more on the quote, and if you don't want to get it discolored, this is a better plan. But both works. Stabilo all pencil work, watercolor pencil. Remember, there's lots of ways to achieve the same effect. You don't have to go out and buy all the products. This dragonfly seems to be a little bit not in the picture, so I'm kind of shading it so it make it look like it's more part of the focal point, and to get it to stand out from the background. So that one's done. Now this one. Now you can see the ones that I've left to the end were ones that I wasn't exactly sure what to do. Now I love the colors, the orange and the violet that's here, but I'm just not sure. So I decided I really want to play up this texture, the stenciling, the texture paste. So I'm watering down some black paint and just dripping it through so that it catches in the nooks and crannies and shows the wonderful texture and patterning of the stencil. And if you're doing this, it's kind of, you add a little bit, you spray it with water, you have the heat tool right there, you're kind of going back and forth till you get something that you like. If I had a Lindy Starburst that was black, I would have been using it. And I'm turning the pages, and that, sorry, I apologize for being off camera, but I find that technique works best if you spray the water on it first, and then it starts to flow immediately, as opposed to putting the paint on first. Now I grabbed, I believe this is the gelatos, and I talked about this in the last video that I used the gelato. I'm not a fan of gelatos. There are other products that I think are better, and I personally like using them. If you like gelatos, great, right? But that's the thing, not everybody's going to like and get the same right effect that they want with every product. Now this girl needs to, this Victorian lady needs to be brought out from the background. There's way too much busyness going on, and she really needs to stand out. So I'm going pretty heavy-handed with the paint for the shading here. Because there does seem to be, and I'm even shading parts of the actual printable in this case. And I've chosen the quote, "Life is full of possibilities," which is a good neutral quote. I needed some more script stamp, and you know, you might notice I'm going kind of sideways with it because it doesn't always have to be right side up. Sometimes I don't even pay attention. And I'm kind of layering this now, layering the sentiment. The font that I'm using here is called, the script one is called Bananas Personal, and the smaller letters are LW Simple. And I'm pretty sure LW Simple I bought from the Silhouette store, but Bananas Personal I'm pretty sure was from defont.com. And shading around the sentiment. Hoy. Now this background, it served its purpose. It was the reason I chose the cat, because it was kind of the same color. Actually, I think I chose the cat because it was big and it could cover up a lot of this. But I just had no idea what to do with that background. So here I go. For the second page out of 20, I'm totally whiting out with my white gesso the colors that are there. Then I have to decide what color I want. Now I grab my color wheel and I know blue is the complement of orange. So the cat is orange, so I'm going to do a blue background. And I pick a couple colors. One's a metallic blue, and I'm using Deco Art Americana paint here. But you could use Liquitex Basics. My point is, you can use whatever you have. You know, I don't want people to think if I have, you know, I'm using Liquitex Basics that you need to go out, that the craft paints aren't good for what we're doing. No, they're perfectly fine. Use what you have, what's easily accessible to you. They all have their pros and cons. But for something like this, it really doesn't matter. So I'm just painting that blue. And, you know, right off the bat, because these are complementary colors, the cat is just popping right off the page. Without any shading or anything, it's really standing out. Now, this was the stencil that I put texture paste through, and I just decided I'm going to play this texture up. Really make this background all work together. And I'm using a darker blue here to kind of get it. So it's kind of working with the stenciling that's already there with the texture paste. And it's kind of like the blue sky behind the cat. The cat's outside, right? And then I decide to use white. And this is when I really like the addition of the white here. I think it really contributed positively to the picture. But I can't tell you why I decided to do that. You know, when I'm working on a page, you know, sometimes I have a very defined idea of where I want to go and what I'm going to do. And other times I just start. So if you're stuck, just start. Get paint going. You know, do something. And it will start to flow. I believe I'm using Payne's Gray here because I'm using the blue in the background. And I'm just going to shade this little kitty cat. Make him stand out from the background. He's, you know, because it's a high contrast, it kind of stands out. But you can see what a difference this little addition makes. I hemmed and hawed about the quote for this one. I had every day is Catterday, and, you know, OCD, obsessive cat disorder, and different things. So that was a bit challenging, and that's why I recommended at the beginning that when you're picking your focal points, pick something that you know have a quote for, or that makes you think of something that you could put if you want to put a sentiment or a quote. Some people don't. So instantly, once I shaded the outside edges, it all kind of started working together. And I'm going to splatter with some black using the fan brush, which is my usual tool of choice for splattering. and giving that a quick dry. Now the quote that I ended up picking says, "My alarm clock has a purr function." And it reminded me, I picked this not so much because it goes with the picture, although it's a cat, so it does, but it reminded me of my cat that I had, and she always was my wake-up call. She was very determined to always get me up in the morning, and then she would crawl into the bed sheets as soon as I got up, and then she would go to sleep. So I'm just edging these to stand up, and you saw me auditioning where I want to put them, and I decided to put it kind of off center and going straight down. Part of the reason was it looked distorted the way the tail was in that picture in the magazine, and that just kind of took your eye away from that. And why not? So I decided to get out some of kind of the brownish red, and I'm just shading the inside on the magazine picture of the cat. Because remember, you can shade around it, the outside, but you can also shade inside. But black would have been harsh right there, and it would really distort the picture. I don't think it would have added to it. Not sure I had the right color red there, but it just kind of deepened the color of the cat, and I like that better too. Part of the problem was it was a little pale. And just adding those layers once again, till I like what I see. Then I grab the black and I decide I'm going to add some weight to these words, top, bottom, and sides. And I really like the addition of this. I think it really positively affected the page, made the words stand out and yet blend into the page better. I have this Liquitex Basic, I believe it's copper or bronze ink, acrylic ink, and I'm liquefying it, and then I am splattering with it. Grabbing my liner bottle, my fine liner, and I'm just kind of putting a border around these words. And again, I love the look of this. So again, that will be something that will go on my, you know what, you're going to do that on other pages. Doing so many pages, I'm kind of looking for new things to do or different things to do. So here is the last page. And again, I didn't know where I wanted to go with this. So I'm starting, there's some white spots on here, uneven color. So I get out the purple and blue that was pretty much made up the background. I'm just adding it. And you see me spraying it, making it watery, because I don't want it to be so bold. And then I wanted to bring out the texture, so I rubbed the white paint on top and then removed a lot of it. Grabbing my script stamp, I first grabbed silver to put on there because silver goes good with blue. But I wasn't really getting the effect that I wanted. I wanted to add more interest to this background. This background I thought was boring, and it was this big space of it beside this baby. So the silver really didn't do enough. So I grabbed, I think it's quinacridone magenta on the script stamp, and I put that in. And that really popped. And then I actually ended up using the quinacridone magenta more in other parts of this page. And again, I have no idea why I decided to go with the quinacridone magenta here. Or alizarin crimson. I'm not sure. Either or. But now I'm shading around the outside edges with this. And it ties in with the script. And the only reason you're going to know, the only way you're going to know if colors are going to work together and play together well, or look good together or give you the effect, is by doing it. And by doing a process like journaling by fives, it's giving you time to practice those skills. There really is no shortcut for actual time in the studio. Time with your supplies. Not everything you do is going to be wonderful, but you're going to learn. You know, I love the quote, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. I learn a lot in the studio. And you can't replace that by watching videos, no matter how great the videos are, or what an accomplished artist that person may be. So I hope by watching these videos, I've given you encouragement to get in your studio and play. And you know, allow yourself to make mistakes, to white out or paint off just a whole page and start over. I wanted some of this magenta in here to catch in the texture paste, because you really can't see the texture on this at all. And again, I wanted because there's this big space of background, I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting to the eye. Now this is a die cut, kind of a speech bubble. Never actually ever used one of these, never even thought to use one of these. This is something I got as a free gift in some contest or something, and it's been in my stash. And I wanted something to add to the focal point here and to hold the quote. So I thought, okay, let's pretend that this little child is saying some wise words. And the quote that I picked here says, "Wisdom begins in wonder." And it was by Socrates. And the font here is Bang Whack Pow. It's another of my recent favorites. And I like it because it's so bold and it stands out. It's substantial enough. So I'm edging it with the quinacridone magenta, or that alizarin crimson. Actually, it is. It's alizarin crimson. One of the first tubes of heavy body paint that I ever bought. I'm just putting that on. And again, with the quote, I've played with two different sizes, 48 and 28. And just applying this with gel medium. And because there's texture underneath, it takes a little more gel medium, a little more pressure. fine liner bottle, and I decided to do a double sketchy line. It needed white on the end because of the white that the quote is on and the white of the little boy's t-shirt. Kind of balances it all out. Then I decide to just rub some white paint on the texture just to bring it out a little bit more. I wanted to see more of that texture. So thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up. Here are the finished pages. And although I said this was the last finishing one, there is one more JB5 video coming, and it shows the evolution of each page in the different stages. I took pictures along the way, and that's what the video will be. Kind of a little bit of a time-lapse video. Bye for now.